Stop lying to yourself. Your life won't change if you keep pretending it's okay. Facing reality, accountability, truth over comfort.
Step 1. Reality check. The reality check angle is built around one uncomfortable truth. Most people stay stuck not because they lack ability, but because they avoid facing reality. At its core, this angle forces a person to confront the gap between where they are and where they think they are. 1. The illusion people live in. People naturally create comfort narratives to protect themselves. I'll start tomorrow. I just need motivation. I'm not ready yet. I'm trying my best. These statements feel true, but often they're defense mechanisms. Instead of admitting, I'm procrastinating, I'm afraid I'm wasting time, they soften reality to avoid discomfort. 2. Why reality feels painful. Facing reality is hard because it attacks. Ego, you're not as disciplined as you thought. Identity, you're not living up to your potential. Comfort change requires effort and sacrifice. That's why people prefer distractions, scrolling, gaming, and excuses, busy, tired, no time. False progress, planning instead of doing. 3. The cost of avoiding reality. Avoiding reality doesn't just delay success, it quietly destroys your future. Every day you ignore the truth. Opportunities pass, skills stay undeveloped. Confidence decreases, regret slowly builds. You might feel okay today, but time exposes everything. 4. What a real reality check looks like. A true reality check sounds like this. No one is coming to save me. My current habits are not enough. If I keep doing this, nothing will change. I'm responsible for my situation. It's not motivational. It's confrontational. And that's exactly why it works. 5. Why this angle is powerful justification. It breaks denial. Most content motivates, but this angle wakes people up. B. It creates emotional impact. Reality check triggers shock, guilt, urgency. These emotions push action faster than soft encouragement. C. It builds accountability. It removes blame, excuses, waiting for the right time. D. It cuts through noise. In a world full of comfort advice, easy success promises, reality check stands out because it's raw, direct, and honest. That's why it grabs attention instantly. 6. When to use this angle. Use reality check when your audience is stuck in procrastination, keeps making excuses, needs a wake-up call, is tired of fake motivation. Step to self-sabotage. Self-sabotage is one of the most dangerous patterns because it's invisible while you're inside it. You think you're trying your best, but your actions quietly contradict your goals. This angle is powerful because it shifts the blame from external circumstances to internal behavior without being purely negative. It forces awareness. At its core, self-sabotage is when your habits, decisions, and mindset actively work against the future you claim to want. You say you want success, but you procrastinate. You say you want money, but you avoid learning valuable skills. You say you want change, but you stay in the same routine. That contradiction is the heart of the message. Self-sabotage usually doesn't look like failure, it looks like comfort. Choosing entertainment over progress. Overthinking instead of taking action. Waiting for motivation instead of building discipline. Making excuses that sound valid but lead nowhere. The reason this happens is psychological. Your brain is wired to protect comfort, not create success. Growth feels uncomfortable, uncertain, and risky, so your mind creates subtle resistance. I'll start tomorrow. I'm not ready yet. What if I fail? These thoughts feel logical, but they are actually defense mechanisms to keep you in a safe zone. Over time, these small decisions compound. One missed opportunity becomes a habit. One excuse becomes a lifestyle. Eventually, you don't need obstacles, you become the obstacle. Why this angle hits hard. The self-sabotage angle is effective because it removes the illusion that something outside is holding you back. Most people blame lack of money, lack of opportunities, lack of support. But this angle confronts a harder truth. Maybe the biggest thing holding you back is you. That's uncomfortable, but it's also empowering. Because if you are the problem, you can also be the solution. 1. Create self-awareness. People rarely recognize their own destructive patterns. This angle forces them to reflect on their actions versus their goals. 2. Breaks victim mindset. Instead of blaming circumstances, it shifts responsibility inward. This builds accountability. 3. Triggers emotional discomfort in a good way. Growth starts when people feel challenged. This angle creates that wake-up call moment. 4. Encourages action over excuses. Once someone realizes they are self-sabotaging, it becomes harder to justify staying the same. 5. Highly relatable. Almost everyone has experienced procrastination, fear, or inconsistency. That makes the message powerful and widely applicable. Strong core message. Self-sabotage isn't about laziness, it's about avoidance. You're not failing because you can't win. You're failing because your daily actions don't match your intentions. And until that changes, nothing else will. Step 3. Discipline versus comfort angle. This angle is built on a brutal but simple truth. Your future is decided by what you choose in moments when comfort is easier than discipline. Discipline is choosing what is hard now but rewarding later. Comfort is choosing what is easy now but costly later. Every day, you're constantly making small decisions. Sleep more or wake up early. Scroll or work. Avoid effort or face discomfort. These seem small, but they compound into your entire life. The hidden trap of comfort. Comfort feels safe. It gives you relief, peace, and temporary happiness. But here's the problem. Comfort does not build anything. If you always choose comfort, you avoid stress but also avoid growth. You avoid failure but also avoid success. You feel good now but regret later. Comfort is addictive. The more you choose it, the weaker your tolerance for struggle becomes. Eventually, even small challenges feel overwhelming. The power of discipline. Discipline is uncomfortable by nature. It requires effort without immediate reward, consistency without motivation, action despite resistance. But discipline creates something powerful, control over your life. When you build discipline, you act even when you don't feel like it. You stop depending on mood. You build momentum. And over time, what was once hard becomes normal. Short-term pain versus long-term pain. This is where most people fail to see clearly. Discipline, short-term pain, long-term freedom. Comfort, short-term relief, long-term suffering. Example: skipping work today feels good, gives but creates stress tomorrow. Working hard today feels heavy, gives but builds opportunities later. So either way, you will experience pain. The question is, which pain do you choose? Identity shift, the real justification. This angle is not just about actions, it's about identity. Every time you choose comfort, you reinforce. I avoid hard things. Every time you choose discipline, you reinforce. I do what needs to be done. Your habits shape your identity, and your identity shapes your entire future. Why this angle works? Psychological trigger. This angle hits people because it creates guilt awareness. They realize they've been choosing comfort. Urgency, time is being wasted. Responsibility, they can't blame anyone else. Clarity. The trade-off becomes obvious. It removes excuses and forces a decision. Final message, punchline. You don't need more motivation. You need to decide. Will you keep choosing comfort and stay the same, or choose discipline and change your life? Because in the end, comfort keeps you where you are. Discipline takes you where you want to be.
Step for the lost potential angle is a psychological and motivational framework that focuses on one core idea. The most painful version of failure is not failure itself, but the version of you that never got fully developed. It's not about fear for the sake of fear. It's about awareness. It forces you to look at the gap between what you could become and what you are settling into. That gap is where the emotion comes from. Core idea of the lost potential angle. At its center, this angle says, your biggest loss is not what you failed at, but who you never became because you didn't act. Most people think failure is external. Lost money, missed job, broken relationships, but this angle shifts the focus inward. Wasted time, unused talent, ignored opportunities, habits that keep repeating the same version of you. It's not dramatic, it's structural. It's about long-term identity erosion. Why this angle hits so deep? The lost potential angle works because it attacks something most people avoid thinking about: future regret from present behavior. Human psychology naturally avoids discomfort in the present moment, so people choose scrolling instead of building, comfort instead of discipline, delay instead of execution. But the cost is invisible at first. The lost potential doesn't show up immediately, it accumulates quietly. One day becomes 1 month. 1 month becomes 1 year. 1 year becomes a lifestyle. And suddenly, the person doesn't feel like they failed, they feel like they woke up too late in the wrong version of their life. The silent nature of lost potential. What makes this angle powerful is that it doesn't feel like loss in real time. If you waste money, you see it. Time, you don't see it immediately. Discipline, you don't notice until patterns form. Lost potential is invisible while it's happening. That's why people often realize it only in moments like seeing others succeed in what they once wanted, realizing skills were never developed, noticing years passed without direction. The pain comes from recognition, not action. The identity layer. Lost potential is not just about productivity, it's about identity. Every day, you are reinforcing one of two identities: builder identity, learning, improving, risking discomfort; stagnant identity, repeating comfort, avoiding challenge. Over time, you don't just do things, you become the person who does those things. 1. Emotional contrast. It compares who you are versus who you could have been. 2. Future self-awareness. It forces the viewer to imagine an older version of themselves looking back. The lost potential angle is not about fear of failure. It's about realizing every day you delay growth, you are not staying the same, you are choosing a version of yourself that has fewer options later. Step 5. The identity and self-respect. This is a mindset framework that focuses on who you are becoming and how you value yourself, rather than what you feel in the moment or what others think about you. It's one of the strongest psychological anchors for discipline because it shifts behavior from emotion-based action to identity-based action. At its foundation, this angle says, I don't act based on how I feel. I act based on who I am. Instead of asking, do I feel like doing this? Is this easy right now? Will someone notice? You ask, does this match the person I say I am? Would someone with self-respect allow this? Is this aligned with my identity? This creates a powerful internal standard that doesn't change depending on mood, environment, or pressure. Why identity is stronger than motivation. Motivation is temporary. It rises and falls based on energy, mood, and external triggers. That's why people often start strong but stop later. Identity, however, is stable. When something becomes part of your identity, you don't debate it. You don't negotiate it. You don't need motivation for it. Example, a person who tries to work out says, I should exercise. A person who identifies as fit says, I don't skip training. The action is the same, but the internal reasoning is completely different. One is effort-based, the other is identity-based. Self-respect as a behavioral filter. Self-respect is not just confidence, it is a standard of behavior you refuse to violate. When you apply self-respect as an angle, you begin to filter decisions like this. Will this choice make me respect myself tomorrow? Am I lowering my standards just because I feel lazy or emotional? Am I acting in a way that strengthens or weakens how I see myself? This creates an internal line you don't cross. For example, skipping one task becomes not just lazy, but disrespecting my own standards. Procrastination becomes delaying the life I claim I want. Bad habits become choosing short-term comfort over long-term identity. This reframing increases resistance to self-sabotage. The psychological mechanism behind it. The identity and self-respect angle works because of cognitive consistency. The brain naturally tries to align behavior with self-image. When you repeatedly act in a certain way, your brain updates your self-perception. Your identity slowly shifts to match your actions. So if you act disciplined repeatedly, you begin to see yourself as disciplined. And then it becomes easier to stay disciplined. But the opposite is also true. Repeated excuses gives identity become someone who quits. Repeated avoidance gives identity become someone who can't follow through. That's why small daily choices matter more than big occasional efforts. And predictability is what builds progress. Consistency, long-term success. The identity and self-respect angle works because it removes negotiation from your decisions.